All right. Now, moving on to the transfer portal, which officially closes on Wednesday, April 30th. Now, players can make their decision later, but they just have to be in the portal by the end of April. I know you've got a couple players to note that have made their decisions on the Iowa side, and then we will touch on the quarterback situation.
Yeah, I did post yesterday on the channel. I know it's out there. Tommy Pahalski has entered the portal, preferred walk-on quarterback. Normally, we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about walk-ons in general. Not that they're not important, but it does not affect the scholarship count. However, with Pahalski, he is a legacy guy. His dad was a very successful quarterback, tragically passed away actually a few years ago, but it was part of the Hayden Fry, Don Patterson, Bill Snyder era at Iowa. So Tommy, 1 year into the program, has left, is leaving, looking for a new home. I don't know, is there a chance he doesn't like his options and comes back? Sure. I think Iowa's likely going to have a preferred walk-on at quarterback this fall. And somebody brought that to my attention yesterday. Does this mean they definitely go to the portal at quarterback? I don't think Tommy Pahalski entering the portal makes any difference. Like, yeah, they don't have depth, but they'll get some. My guess is they'll get somebody as a preferred walk-on. So if they were going to get a quarterback, a scholarship guy at quarterback prior to his departure, they were going to get one after. And I think they probably will do that. But my guess is they'll get somebody else as a preferred walk-on if he doesn't return. And he can return. Remember, guys can enter the portal and then come back. And a guy like Pahalski, who's not paying for a scholarship, I'm sure Iowa would take him back. Why wouldn't you? And then you look at A.J. Lawson. He was on scholarship, the DB out of Decatur, Illinois. But he's not been with the team for the last 6-7 months, I think, at least. And I'd kind of forgotten about him to an extent. Knew he wasn't on the active roster. Sounds like he had taken a medical hardship or whatever, medical scholarship. So he was not counting against the 85. So his entering the portal does nothing for Iowa's quest for 85, right? They're at 87 right now still. And unless they get down to 85 before fall camp, they got to figure out a way to get a couple of guys off scholarship. As of right now, I've heard nothing about guys entering today. I was told late last week, I'm comfortable repeating this. I was told late last week from a source close to the program that it was anticipated that a couple more guys were going to enter. I did not expect those guys to be a preferred walk-on and a guy who was, not with the team in A.J. Lawson. So I guess when those I did not reach out to that source after those guys entered, but my anticipation was that there were other people, one or two other people. And there are a couple of positions, one being linebacker, one being running back, that I'm surprised we haven't heard anything yet on. But we still have till the end of the day. Graduates, I found out, Mark, I made a mistake on my recording yesterday. I made the comment that graduates can enter anytime. Apparently that's no longer the case. The NCAA changed that rule this month. And now graduates have to be in the portal by tomorrow. They get an extra day. They have to be in the portal by May 1st. Sounds like the paperwork processing time can vary with certain schools. So there's a chance you don't technically know that guys are in the portal until later this week. But in general, guys have to be in the portal either today or tomorrow. Tomorrow, if you're a graduate, I'll almost be blown away if we don't get somebody from those two positions entering the portal. I don't know how you can hold on to all those running backs. If Tim Lester, Liddell Betts, Seth Wallace, Phil Parker managed to hold on to everybody, props to them. I mean, they still got to get down to 85 somehow or figure out another way for somebody to go off scholarship, pay them with the collective. But those, I'm fine with guys like Jazz Patterson not entering the portal. I'm fine with guys like Jaden Harrell not entering the portal. Now, I mean, it's up to you whether you want to. Would you prefer Jaden Montgomery, who's buried right now, I think, at linebacker, to enter? Zach Tweed is an Iowa kid. You hate to see him leave. You want to see him have success at Iowa, but the kids are buried right now. So you also want to have him have individual success. So you can make the argument it'd be in their best interest to leave, but ultimately it's their decisions. Iowa is not going to force kids off scholarship. We've talked about this. Kirk's not going to tell kids you have to leave. He may tell them you're not going to play. We really don't have a place for you right now. We'll honor your scholarship, but you're not going to play. The other thing that could happen is a guy could end up like A.J. Lawson. Michael Myslinski, I hope, can get healthy. He has not been. I don't know when the last time he's been on the field. Tom Kakert made that comment to me a week or two ago after the spring game and was like, hey, I haven't seen Michael Moslinski be in uniform maybe one time since he got to Iowa 2 or 3 years ago. I think he's exaggerating a little bit. But someone like that, like if he's just struggling with injuries, there's always a chance a guy takes a medical and then the scholarship number goes down.
So how comfortable are you if they go to August camp with their current quarterback situation?
How comfortable am I? I mean, I'd be intrigued. I know you know this. I would be intrigued to see what would happen if it was Cade McNamara, Marco Linez, James Rezar. Like if it's Cade McNamara with two legs that have both been torched in the past, and then two really young guys with a ton of upside but totally unproven, I would be very intrigued, but I would also be a little bit scared. Like they do need to go some. I'll admit they should go out and get somebody. The problem is that the talent pool is not real saturated right now, Mark. There's not a lot of guys out there.
I don't know who they would go get. I know that we mentioned these two quarterbacks last week. It's Timmy McClain, who I don't believe has found a destination. He's a UCF backup who did get some valuable playing time last year, 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks. And then also Joey Lagos. Did I get that right? Lagos?
Cooper.
Why do I say, you know why I say Joey? Because I've got a stuck in my head, Joey Labus. Cooper Lagos of Utah State. Lagos. I should have watched that game. Cooper Lagos. Yes, out of Utah State. I believe he's still available. And other than that, I
Colin Schlee from California.
Oh, yeah. Kent State, UCLA.
Yeah. Say that again.
Kent State, UCLA.
Yeah, he visited Virginia Tech over the weekend. And I'll admit this because I've said this before, I'm not typically your insider, but once in a while I'll get a little eager and I'll be like, hey, I'm going to try to reach out to somebody. I reached out to a couple people in the Colin Schlee camp, including Colin Schlee himself. Nothing. Crickets. Usually, and guys like Tom or Elliot Clough, they can, attest to this. Usually that means there's the sign that probably not coming to the school that you not represent, but you're working with. So my guess is that that's an indicator that he's not coming to Iowa. And I did see an article posted yesterday on VT Scoop, which is 247 Sports, that it's a VIP article. And of course I don't pay for 247, but it sounds like he is nearing a decision, and the schools that he's down to are Kentucky and Virginia Tech. So based on that, based on everything, I have no reason to think he's coming to Iowa. I have reason to believe that he was on Iowa's board at one point recently, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, they may not have even reached out to him. I just know he was one of the guys. But like every guy that's done anything that's in the portal right now should be on your board because there's not many guys out there. Like that's the problem. Could maybe Jimmy Sullivan can get done with high school and he can reclassify? He's Iowa's 2025 quarterback. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. There's Brendan Sullivan from Northwestern.
Yeah, have you heard anything about him? I have not heard anything more about him.
I forgot about him.
So he'd obviously be the other guy that we talked about him a week ago.
That also reminds me that I'm supposed to have a insider membership or whatever it's called to 247 Sports.
Oh, well, anyway, there you go.
I'm supposed to get that through something else, and I contacted them, and it's not working. And I forgot about that months ago. I'll get on that. Isaiah Gonzalez, thank you for the comment. So Isaiah, yes. So what we will do is Corey makes all his predictions. That involves Iowa, of course, and whatever beyond that. I predict everybody's record in the country. What we will do in addition to that, Isaiah, is throughout the summer, we will certainly bring on media contributors from all of Iowa's major opponents, probably all the Big Ten teams, and then Iowa State, at least that number of media contributors. So we will be previewing the games, of course, the week of the game, but then also starting here in June, we will start to look at that, May or June. So we will do that. Yes.
Yeah, I don't see anything on Brendan Sullivan. I have not tried to reach out to anybody. I mean, literally, I've reached out to nobody. I don't think I've even said anything to Elliot or Tom about it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't go. Why wouldn't you go after him? Tim Lester also recruited him out of high school. I think he's an obvious candidate, unless I don't
Yes.
think he's got a no contact tag.
He
I
is
mean,
the guy right now. He's number one. He is.
who else is out there, Mark? Who else
I
is
just
actually
named
out there?
them. The UCF backup and your guy, Lagos. Cooper.
Lagasse.
Lagos. Yes.
Okay, here's where we are right now. I'm looking at this per 247's transfer portal database. Let's see. Guy from Louisiana Tech, RJ Martinez from Baylor entered yesterday. Sam Heward.
Oh, the lefty. Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's
what's going on with
Brock
him?
Heward's son.
What's going on with him?
He was an FCS player,
Yeah,
correct?
but wasn't he a 5-star out of high school?
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
Just curious on him. But yeah, he was at Cal Poly last year. Let's see, Caleb Jordan, Northern Illinois, Matt Ruvi from Boston College, Tyler Voss, San Jose State, Brendan Strickland, La Tech, CJ Tiller from Boise, Sean Boyle from West Virginia, DeMarcus Davis, Washington, was a 4-star out of high school. I mean, I don't know any of these guys that I'm reading through.
Yeah, none of them play. But I do recall Davis. Sam Heward, coming out of high school, was the third-rated quarterback in the country. He was a top 25 player, period. You're right. 5-star. I do recall that.
Let's see. Am I missing anybody? Let me see what the top. Let's see, available. Yeah, so I mean, in general, looks like who's DeMarcus Davis? Do you know anything about him? Back up at Washington, who entered 4 days ago.
Yeah, I know the name, and I know that he was highly touted coming out of high school, but he hasn't played.
Well, I mean, again, I mean, beggars can't be choosers here. Who's going to want to come to Iowa with Cade McNamara being the presumed backup? You're going to have to get somebody who's probably unproven. Maybe you can coax Brendan Sullivan into coming here, but man.
Yeah, and then you've got an open competition for the job.
Maybe.
Or, I don't want to say his name again, Cooper out of Utah State.
I don't even see him on this list. Where is he?
Oh, maybe,
by the way,
maybe he got snatched up.
DeMarcus, no, I don't think he did. Let me look this here. I'm sure this is great listening for our audio people. Let's see. School, they're Mountain West, aren't they? Let's go Utah State.
I think there's a lot of people surprised Ohio State is still sitting there with 5 quarterbacks.
Now, Cooper Lagasse is still available. But, I mean, I guess he'd be better than, I mean, he did play last year, right? I guess you take that. He had offers out of high school from Arkansas, from BYU, from, let's see, Air Force, Navy. It looks like, it'd be pretty ridiculous if he left. I mean, I don't know. Did he leave because Spencer Petras beat him out? Was that what happened? Did he leave because of Petras? Because it'd be pretty bad if Iowa grabbed somebody because they got beat out by Petras. Like, that would be pretty bad, right? I'm just saying, it just would be. Yeah, I don't see anything on Cooper. I'm just looking here. I don't see anything on Cooper Lagasse recently. Nothing even on. Yeah, I could try to reach out to him. I don't know. I have no connections to Cooper Lagasse. I'm trying to think. Do I have connections to Utah State? Didn't we have somebody from Utah State last year?
We did.
Who would that have been?
I don't remember.
I'll do some.
Look up the show.
I'll do some dirty work, Mark.
Nice. I love it.
I'll do some. And by the way, there is another guy who is in the portal from Utah State that Iowa could look at. And his name is, let me see here. I believe it's Illingworth. Transferred in from Okie State a couple of years ago. Do you know who I'm talking about, Mark?
No, I don't.
You know, I hate 247 Sports. You bring up the guide, and as soon as you try to filter something, it resets all your other filters. You got to start over.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It is stupid. It's annoying. Yeah.
So it looks like as of right now, Shane Illingworth. I'm sorry, he was Nevada. So I remember him from I'm getting the two white and blue teams confused. Shane Illingworth is also available, Mark. And I believe 2 years ago, he played against Iowa in that game that lasted like 3 hours or no more than like 6 hours. I'm sorry. Lasted like 6 hours late at night. He had transferred in from Oklahoma State. Do you remember him?
No, I don't.
He's a big guy, 6'6.5", 234.
So he played in the game that they got shut out against Iowa.
I don't think he was the starter that day.
Okay.
But I do believe he played, and he had a lot of good offers coming out of high school. Like I say, he signed with Oklahoma State, had offers from Colorado, Oregon State, Arizona, Louisville, Arizona State, Arkansas, Wazoo, Cal. So anyways, had good offers. And let me pull up his stats. So he'd maybe be another one. I'm sure people don't want to see another statue quarterback at Iowa. And if I recall, 6'6.5", 234, I would assume that he's not real mobile.
Well, I was hoping that they were going to go grab somebody who was capable of competing with Cade McNamara. But if they have to go second level and get somebody who at least gives them an insurance policy who can compete against Marco Lyonez to be the backup quarterback in case Marco's not prepared to play in the Big Ten.
Well, here's what Illingworth did in 2021 for Nevada. 6 games played, 84 completions, 145 attempts. That's good for 58% passing completion percentage. And then 761 yards, 5.2 yards per attempt, 4.6 attempt average yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, QB rating of 102.
Sounds like an Iowa quarterback to me.
That's what I was gonna say. It sounds perfect. Why don't we just bring Brian back while we're at it, Mark? Heck, if you're gonna go there, just bring in Deacon. Bring back Deacon. If you're bringing in some 6'6.5" guy from Utah State with those numbers, just bring back Deacon for Pete's sake.
We did not talk a lot of Deacon Hill when he went into the transfer portal because it propelled into, okay, who are they going to go get? Did you ever find out anything, as you continue to put your insider hat on, in regards to, did he just assess the situation and think, I can't start here, so I'm gone?
I've heard 2 different things. One from a non-source. This was a rumor that he asked for money. I don't know that there's any legs for that. Why would he ask for money? Okay, I don't know. Maybe he did. I have no idea. That was a rumor out there. I don't know where it got started.
He was the starting quarterback in the Big Ten championship game. Of course, he asked for money.
The other thing that I was told right after he entered, because this was from a more reliable source connected with the program, the roster, was that he was told that they were going to be shopping the quarterback market in the portal. So I that's all I was told. Again, have not heard anything that has legs as it relates to specific people that I was targeted. And I have not heard anything about Deacon Hill and programs that have reached out to him. What kind of programs would reach out to him at this point, Mark? I'm sure somebody will reach out to him. He played last year in the Big Ten. But, T. Hink says he's going to an SEC school. Is Kalen DeBoer in search of a starting quarterback, Mark?
No, he's not. Or a backup. Or a third stringer.
Is Jalen Milroe still there?
Yes. He's still there.
So
and
maybe he can
backup is like one of the best freshman in the country.
Maybe Caden, you know what? Maybe that's what happened with Alabama. All this time, Alabama sent Caden Proctor to Iowa just to poach Deacon Hill. One big boy to another. He was sent to Iowa City to coax Deacon Hill into the portal to come to Alabama. Maybe that's what happened.
Well, if it wasn't that, and it was the pay rumor, then
I don't know which one makes less
maybe
sense.
a gift card to where's
Quick
your
Trip?
stop, Culver's.
I was going to say Quick Trip or Quick Star.
That would have taken care of things.
Someone brings up in the chat, Deuce Hogan, is he still out there? Last I knew, he was in the portal. Could they bring back Carson May? He was in the portal last I knew. Have any of those former Iowa quarterbacks? Think about how many former Iowa quarterbacks don't have homes. I mean, think about it. Isn't this crazy?
They are out there. And they're coming back to Iowa if they would with no experience because they weren't able to play anywhere else.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a great situation.
No, it's not. But they'll get somebody. I think they will get somebody. I think they'll bring in a preferred walk-on, as I said earlier. I mean, maybe James Rezar comes in and really looks good in fall camp. There's just something intriguing to me. I guess this is where I stand on this because a lot of people think, you know, it's obvious that you should be lobbying for a quarterback. I'm not lobbying for anything, but it is intriguing to me the idea of Iowa being forced to play a young guy. Because in so many cases in the past, when a guy goes down, they play the guy that nobody wants them to play. At least in this case, Cade gets injured. They have to go either Marco or James. Like as opposed to go getting Shane Illingworth and just being like, oh, here we go again. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like there's something intriguing about they have to play Marco or they have to play Rezar. It could be a total disaster.
Yeah.
But at least we'd get to see that for once. Not a total disaster. We see that a lot. But a total disaster as it relates to playing a young guy and putting your chips in a guy you're uncomfortable with. I think maybe there's a chance there's a little bit of that happens given the fact that Tim Lester is a part of this program now anyways. But still, it's a Kirk Ferentz-led program. So they'll probably bring in an experienced guy. I doubt Kirk is comfortable going in to spring or to fall, regardless of what Lester says, with Rezar and Linez as backups to Cade.
I would agree. And I agree on the point of the intrigue of seeing a Marco Linez in the second quarter of a Big Ten game trotting out onto the field when it's 3-3 and hey, it's your season now.
3-3. Well, hey, defense. Listen, here's what's going to happen. This is what we've said how many years in a row. The defense will give them chances, even in games where Iowa struggles mightily at quarterback. They just will. Like that's even with turnovers. I mean, everybody talks about, oh, Kirk wants a game manager. Deacon Hill was as turnover prone as any quarterback in the country. That's what didn't make sense about Kirk just sticking with the guy for so long because he's coughing up the football left and right. And yet Iowa still won 10 games. Yes, they got blown out in the games they lost, but I guess that's where I stand on it. Like, regardless of who plays, you're going to have a chance, assuming you start with a clean slate. And they're going to play good teams. I mean, I know we've talked about the schedule not being as tough as some, but at UCLA is going to be difficult. Washington, I know they lost a lot. They're still coming off a national title. They're not going to be Rutgers of 10 years ago. Maybe you think they will, Mark, but I don't think a team can take that big of a nosedive. So they'll have challenges, and they got to get somebody in there to compete.
And in that situation, with Marco coming off the bench and him taking over most likely for the rest of the season, unless he's a disaster, what would be great about that would be because the defense is so good, then the wide receiver core becomes even less relevant, becomes completely non-existent, and they rely on running their three running backs who are really good and letting Marco Linez run the ball. And they just become a running juggernaut. Quarterback runs, running backs. We throw the tight end a few times a game.
Look, I know that there will be a lot of people that say you're just armchair. We're armchair quarterbacks to some extent. But yeah, absolutely. Like, there is a lot of talent on the offensive side of the football for Iowa. I mean, we don't say that a whole lot, and I'm not saying it's everywhere, but there are individuals who are very talented who have raw potential. Terrell Washington Jr., guy with raw potential, can catch, can pass, good athlete, really good speed. Caleb Brown, obviously, raw potential. He was a high 4-star recruit. Ohio State wanted him at receiver. He's not proven anything, but he's got potential. They've got a Caleb Johnson at running back who is a big guy. Now, does he know how to use his size yet? It doesn't appear so. We have not seen that. But he is a guy with upside. Same with Jazz Patterson. Like, they've got players. I absolutely agree with you. It'll be interesting to see if they end up in the same situation. Like, if Tim Lester had been here a year ago with Cade going down, what would Tim have done differently? I'm sure he would have done so much differently, right? If he had full reins to things. But how does it look different? What type of ingenuity would Kirk allow in that situation? Yeah, I mean, to me, regardless of who they get, Marco's legs, he's one of the better athletes on this roster, given his position. You got to figure out a way to use him, even if his arm sucks. I mean, you just got to figure out a way to get him on the field. Same with Terrell Washington, same with Caleb Brown. And if Caleb Johnson doesn't enter the portal, if he remains at Iowa, then yeah, use him as well because he's got speed. They've got people, and that's what's intriguing to me is you finally have someone who is offensive minded. And I don't know that Brian was really ever offensive minded. I mean, to some extent, he had to have been because he played football his whole life and played on that side of the football. But it's different when you're talking about a former quarterback. I just think it'll be intriguing to see. I don't see Lester. Do you see Tim Lester just going down with the ship like Brian did each of these last 3 years, Mark?
Not based on his history. And I also see him being more adaptable to what the talent dictates, not
Exactly.
this is the offense we run and you just better run it. So that's what it is. But if it's Marco Lionez that comes into the game for a Cade McNamara, okay, this changes what we do because we want to make him comfortable and effective.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't want it to happen, but I would be intrigued if Cade couldn't play and Lester had to game plan the week with James Rezar and Marco Lionez. I would be fascinated to see what he would do because it would be the ultimate test for an unproven OC. I guess that's where I stand on this. We've seen so much of the same vanilla garbage on that side of the football for so long. I just want to see who do we have at the helm here?
Yeah. I also think there's a level of intrigue, even though this is not nearly as much so, with Cade McNamara making it through the entire season as the starting quarterback to see how truly productive he will be with this offense because he's only played one full season as successful as that was.
Who again?
Cade McNamara.
What do you mean?
I think to me, there's a level of intrigue to see how effective he would be for a full season if he never gets hurt, plays the full season.
He didn't play in 2020?
He played half the season.
The COVID year?
Well, first of all, they only played 6 games.
Okay.
He played like 3 games.
Well, who played the other? Who
Joe Milton.
It was Milton.
Who just got drafted.
Yeah.
This past weekend.
Yeah. I mean, Cade's health should absolutely be questioned. There's no, if he want, like, that's another example. If people have made the claim that if you go to the portal, it's pushing guys out. If Cade McNamara gets angry because I was going to the portal, then see you later. Like, you are not bigger than the program. And if you really want us to put our confidence in your 2 broken legs, have a nice day and go find a home at La Tech. I mean, it's just, no. He's been very injury prone. Now, again, from a quarterback position, we talk about the lack of talent in that pool right now in the portal. There are things that can be attractive to outside names. For instance, the new offense, the new scheme, the new quarterbacks coach. You look at a guy like Luke Lachey. Luke Lachey has a chance to be another high-end draft pick next year in the draft. And we haven't even seen, I mean, he's coming off an injury, but assuming he stays healthy, he is one of the early favorites for tight end of the year nationally. So that's a weapon. Have a safety blanket like a Luke Lachey. And we keep hearing that they're going to probably add somebody in the portal at receiver. They had is it Raylan Sharp, the kid from Missouri State that visited here a little over a week ago. I've not heard anything substantiated on him, but I mean, they might, if you can get a receiver, that would be another attractive piece to potentially lure a middle tier quarterback, I guess.
If I'm a capable quarterback, and I hear this all the time, and you hear it probably 10 times more than I do, oh, who would want to go play at Iowa, a quarterback? If I'm a good quarterback, I'm enticed by, okay, they've got a new offensive coordinator. He's got a great reputation. He's done good things. Sitting down, talking to him. Okay, Luke Lachey. I'm going to get supported by a running game. Hopefully the offensive line is up to the challenge. But I can play for a really good team because we've got a excellent defense. I don't have to put up, sure, I want to put up tons of points and yardage and touchdowns and look good statistically, but I don't have to. We can win games 20-14, and I can do my job, and I'm supported by an excellent defense, and we can win a lot of games.
And they're going to be good on special teams. I mean, even if with Torrey Taylor gone, they're going to be okay. I mean, we watched Ty Nissen and Reese Dakin at the spring game. I thought Dakin looked like the better of the two. That was not surprising, and he's young. He's not as old as Torrey Taylor. Was like 24 when he got to Iowa, and I think Dakin is 19. So, but he's going to be really good. We've talked about him. So, I mean, it probably won't be perfect, but they're going to be fine. Drew Stevens has been through some lumps during the offseason. I still have faith that he's going to figure it out. He'll be fine. And they'll figure out somebody to return kicks and punts. Caleb Johnson returned a lot of kicks last year. That might be an enticement to keep him here. Hey, you're going to be featured. LaShawn's going to be gone next year. And in the meantime, even if you're not getting 50% of the snaps, you're going to be featured on special teams. Maybe they have him return punts. Maybe that's a way that they keep one of these backs engaged.